Hey guys, what is up? So in our last video, in part 2 of this 3-part series, I covered a more detailed, in-depth look at the different areas that you need to know about in the RV gas generators, their maintenance schedules, and a few troubleshooting tips. But today, in our final segment, part 3, we're going to be covering fuel, proper exercising your generator, and a couple safety tips. Details coming up on RV Street. Okay, let's get right to it. In a motorhome, the generator gets its fuel from the main gas tank in the motorhome. The generator fuel line goes down 3/4 of the way into the gas tank. Your main fuel line for the motorhome goes all the way down to the bottom of the gas tank. The reason the fuel line of the generator only goes down 3/4 of the way is to prevent the generator from using up all the gas and leaving your motorhome stranded by running out of gas. So another troubleshooting tip is kind of obvious. If your generator stops running, the first thing to check is, do I have enough gas in the gas tank? You have to have at least a 1/4 tank of gas for the generator to run. Personally, when Joni and I are traveling, when I see my gas gauge get to a half a tank, I look over at her and I say, Joni, we need to start looking for a gas station. I rarely ever let that gas tank go below half. So let's talk about gas consumption on these babies, okay? So normal gas consumption on these gas RV generators is, with a no load, you're going to burn a 1/3 of a gallon per hour. With a half load on, when you're running your generator with a half a load, you're going to burn about a 1/2 gallon an hour. If you're running your generator with a full load, you're going to be burning about 1 gallon an hour. Oh, and by the way, these things right here, they weigh about 288 pounds or so. I have read about so many people online that have fuel problems, or their carburetor is starting to get gummed up, or it's varnishing inside their fuel system, or their fuel filter, or their fuel pump. Then they start tearing into their carburetor and doing all this type of work. This can easily be avoided in most cases. Most of these problems come from bad gas, or more commonly, they don't exercise and run their generators enough. To keep gas from going stale and causing a varnishing and carburetor problems and plugged up fuel filters and fuel pumps and all those type of things, is to exercise, to run your generator regularly under load. Now, if you're one of those that doesn't drive that much and you sit in campgrounds or whatever in long periods of time and you're not burning through a lot of tanks of fuel, I add seafoam to the main gas tank in the motorhome. Then I drive the motorhome for a few miles and I slosh that seafoam all throughout the main gas tank and get that all mixed in through. Then I'll come and start the generator. Seafoam is going to keep your fuel from varnishing and going stale, and it's going to keep all your entire fuel system clean and working in good order and prevent these problems from starting in the first place. You're going to add 1 bottle of seafoam per 20 gallons of gas that you have in your gas tank. I've been using seafoam for years. I even used it in all of my yard equipment, my lawnmowers and my weed eaters and all that when we had the house. And I'm going to tell you, seafoam is a great product. And it'll keep your fuel systems clean and keep your gas from going bad and keeping varnishing from happening. It's very safe to use and it works great. Now, those of you who follow our channel, you know that even when we go down to RGV and spend the winter, I still exercise our coach and our generator once a month. So what I'll do is I'll close everything up, we'll go for a drive for about 50 miles or so and exercise the whole coach, and at the same time I'm running the generator and I put the generator on a load. So let's talk about exercising your generator properly and regularly on a load. As I said, regular exercising your generator is a very important thing to do. on a monthly basis. Lack of exercising is going to cause moisture in the system, it's going to cause varnishing, and just a whole host of other problems. If you don't exercise it properly, like I said earlier, and varnishing begins to take place, one of the symptoms you're going to see is the generator is going to start surging. Surging means that it's going to run rough. It'll never settle down to a smooth running condition or an operating speed. So we have to exercise these things once a month and properly. And I've been saying under load. So what does exercising under load mean? It means when you turn on your generator, you want to turn on some things in the RV at a minimum of 50% of your RV's capacity, like one air conditioner and your fridge, or maybe the microwave. But you want to turn on at least 50% of things in your RV to put a load, an electrical load, on the generator while it's running. Here's another way to look at it. If you have a 50 amp coach, you want to turn on enough things that will put at least a 50% load on the generator, like one AC, your refrigerator, maybe a toaster, maybe your microwave. But you want to run and turn on at least enough things that will put 50% load on the generator. But you get the point, right? I mean, if you got a 30 amp RV, you want to put at least a 50% load on the generator on a 30 amp. So you'd want to turn on maybe one AC and maybe something else. But the key is to turn on enough things to put on at least 50%. Now, if you want to put on a full load, you can do that too. For example, if you have a 50 amp coach, you can turn on both ACs and your refrigerator and really put a load on the generator. Putting a load on the generator is necessary to properly exercise your generator, okay? When you're exercising it that way with a load, you're getting rid of moisture. You're getting rid of all the old gas and everything in your system. You're introducing new fuel into the filter, the pump, the carburetor, all those things. You're warming up and lubing all the internal parts inside the generator. So that's why you don't want to just flip it on and run it without a load. If you do that, you're doing nothing. That is not exercising a generator. You have to turn it on and put a load on it, and that is how you properly exercise a generator. Now, when Joni and I are traveling, and I know it's time to exercise this puppy, what I do is I tell her, Joni, we got a 200-mile trip or whatever, and we're going to exercise the generator during this trip. So what I do is I start up the engine, I come back here, I start up the generator, and then I turn on an AC or a heat pump or the refrigerator or whatever, and we'll drive 200 miles with a load on this generator. Now let's go over how you properly exercise your generator when you're in a campground, your RV's in a storage area, or you're just parked somewhere permanently for a while. Here's how I exercise my generator when we're parked. First, I go in the RV, I turn off all the appliances inside, all the ACs, the fridge, and anything that is running off of shore power, okay? I turn off everything. Then I go out to the electrical pedestal and I turn off both breakers. That way I am positive there is nothing running off of shore power in the RV. Then I start up the generator. Then I let it run for about 3 to 5 minutes. I let it warm up and I let it settle to a nice, smooth running operation. Once the generator is running nice and smooth, I go back into the RV and I'll flip on, like I said earlier, an AC, the refrigerator, a microwave. Maybe Joni will make me a piece of toast, something. But I want to turn on some items to put on at least a 50% load on the generator. And then I let it run for about an hour. After an hour of running with a load, I'll go back in the RV and I'll turn everything that I turned on back off. I'll let the generator run for an additional 5 minutes to let it properly cool down. After that, I'll remove the door, I'll turn off the generator. Then I go back out to the pedestal, I flip the breakers back on, sending shore power back to the RV, and then I'll go ahead and turn on my ACs or my heaters or my microwave or whatever I had on before. I'm going to put this routine of what I do in the description text down below so you can copy and paste it in a convenient place for you so you can refer to it later down the road. Now let's cover a couple of safety tips. It's always a good practice to pay attention to the direction you're pointing your RV if you're going to be using your generator, okay? So let's just think about this for a minute. So for example, let's say you're going to be boondocking somewhere, or maybe you're just spending the night at a Cracker Barrel or a Walmart or wherever. Because if your RV is like ours, our generator is right up underneath the bedroom. And you want to be pointing into the wind so that when the generator is running during the night, the wind is blowing from front to back, and it's carrying all the exhaust fumes away from the RV. Now, sometimes it's not possible to do that, but if it is possible and you have the ability to maneuver your RV around, it's, again, good practice. Point the RV into the wind. Now, of course, you're probably asking, well, how are fumes going to be getting into the bedroom? Well, if you've done your homework and your due diligence, you've probably already inspected underneath your RV and make sure that you don't have any holes or stuff like that where fumes can get up from under the RV and rise up into the bedroom. And it's also a good practice not to have any open windows or anything in the bedroom or close by the generator exhaust so that exhaust doesn't get into the bedroom. But more importantly than that, your bedroom should have a combination smoke alarm and CO alarm, so that if anything just by happenstance happens and exhaust begins to get into the bedroom while you're sleeping at night or watching TV or whatever, that alarm is going to alert you that you're getting exhaust fumes into the RV. So, in summary, on this safety tip, try to point your RV into the wind. Make sure that underneath of your RV is sealed where exhaust fumes from the generator can't seep up into the upper part of your RV. Don't leave any windows open nearby, and make sure you have a combination smoke alarm and CO alarm. These are simple safety tips you can do. Here's another tip I think you'll find interesting concerning controlling exhaust fumes. And this particular tip may be a requirement if you're going to something like a tailgate party or a rally where many RVs are gathered in one tight area. This tip is called a Gen-Turi. A Gen what? I know, right? A Gen-Turi. A Gen-Turi is an easily attached exhaust stack. You can buy these as kits all ready to go. Some people make their own. They are usually just metal segments that push or snap together to make a long stack, and then they are held and attached to the RV by clips or rings or other devices. But they're quite easy to assemble and attach to your RV when you need to use it. But in a nutshell, they clip onto the end of your generator exhaust pipe, and then you can run it up either the back side of the RV or on the side of the RV and get the exhaust up and away from all the people around you. If this is something you think you need or would like to have just in case, just research what will work for your RV and then carry it with you. As I said in part 1 and part 2, if you don't have your user manuals for all your coach, everything, your water heater, your generator, your fridge, your ACs, it doesn't matter. If you don't have your manuals, you need to get them now. Because if you wait until something breaks and then you go looking for it, you may find it's not available or it'll be very difficult to find. So I'm going to give a link down in the description area for this generator. It's going to take you right to the Cummins main page. You can look up your particular generator manual, download it now so you'll have it when you need it. Oh, and when you download it, be sure to read it so you'll know the very specific maintenance schedules and part numbers and all that that you need for your generator. And remember to get your critical spare parts that you're going to need for this. If anything goes bad here, you're going to want to have spare parts, critical spare parts, on hand in your bays where you can get your hands on them right now. I mentioned all that in part 1. I put all of those critical parts that I carry in the description text under part 1. Now I know many of you will have a little bit different model, a little bit different wattage output. The configuration may be a little different, but everything that we've covered here in this 3-part series, these are all pretty much the same kind of things that you need to be maintaining, cleaning, and watching and troubleshooting pretty much all the same way. So I know that there was a lot of information here that'll help everybody that's been watching, even if you don't have this exact unit. And for all of you, like I said before, you big mechanic guys that have been around longer than this mechanic, if you've learned any special little tricks that have helped you keep your generator running well, how to perform maintenance and all of that, I would like you to tell us those things down below in the comments. But I am going to ask you to please let us know what kind of generator you have and tell us the tip or trick that you learned. That way we have a full understanding of what you did and would that apply to our particular generator. Oh, and don't forget, I have got a ton of maintenance videos and upgrade videos in my playlist. It's right up here. You can go to that playlist and you click underneath it, view full playlist, and there's a ton of videos there that cover a multitude of subjects that you might also find helpful. I encourage you to go there and watch some of those videos. We do not have to go to the school of hard knocks. We just need to learn how to take care of them and then do it. As always, everything that we've covered here in this 3-part series for the generator, all these parts and cleaning equipment and even my gloves, all that is going to be in our Amazon store. I'll put that link down below in the description text, as I always do in every video. But even if you have different part numbers for your generator, you can still click that link, and if it's not in our category of taking care of your generator, you can still search for the part numbers and things that you need, put them in the cart and check out there. And not only your generator parts, but anything else that you need for your RV. I can't thank you enough, Joni can't thank you enough on how you use our store to buy everything that you need through our Amazon store. It's been such a blessing, and that's all I need to say about that. I don't know about you, but I love wrenching on stuff. I love maintaining stuff. I like getting my hands dirty, and I love keeping my coach working in top condition. If you like doing that kind of stuff and like to learn that, you need to subscribe to our channel. Subscribing is free. I know that's hard to believe. I mean, we do all this for free. But in order to see and be subscribed to our channel, you have to hit the red button and you have to ring the bell off to the right so you'll be notified the next time we put out our next video. So this is the conclusion of our 3-part series, your ultimate guide on how to take care of these puppies so when you start them, they'll run and deliver the power that you need. So until next time, this is RV Street. Stick around.